back for another episode of the Bad Ideas podcast with Sara Schmitt. Sara, welcome.
Hello. Great to be here, Nick. Thanks for having me.
It's super awesome to have you here. So, co-founder and COO of Adro Fintech. Explain to us what you guys do. Not a bank, but close.
That's right. So as a fintech, what we do, we help provide banking services for international students, workers, and visa holders coming to the U.S. And businesses looking to get established in the U.S. So we want to help folks who might normally have a difficult time breaking into the U.S. financial market, help them navigate that, and help them get set up with accounts that are equitable and accessible.
Yeah. And so is it all technology powered or is there a service component to it too? Like how
We
does
do
it?
do all the customer service. So yes, we provide checking, credit, savings, and then help with the support and questions for those. And when you're talking about a student population, you're definitely doing a little financial literacy in there as well.
Yeah, right. I still need some financial literacy, but we won't talk about that here.
Nailed it.
Come on over, right? But explain to us. So those of us who don't know, fintech lives kind of above the banking layer. So it like helps
Yeah.
bring you in. Your money might actually be managed by a bank. Is that how you think about it? It's like a sandwich layer.
Yeah, exactly. So like we're like the technology, we're almost an extension of our sponsor bank, Stearns in Minnesota. They're the ones with the FDIC licensure and the money movement capabilities. And we're building out on top of them and helping expand their audience, use their services and make sure everything is legal and compliant, but being able to move very quickly and be more nimble than maybe a traditional bank, especially a traditional commercial bank might be.
So it's like a partnership ecosystem where the
Yeah.
bank is licensed to hold the money, but you can do things a lot faster than they can technology wise. So you can kind of both service the same customer at the same time, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, think of it as
Yeah.
like the business equivalent of a natural symbiotic relationship.
Mhm.
So we kind of need each other. It's a partnership. We help bring in revenue and customers for them, and they're enabling us to exist because we couldn't normally go out and get that same licensure because it's $1 million per money movement license or FDIC insurance or all the other hoops we'd have to jump through. So kind of works in win-win.
Is that so? How did you get it started? Like, did you just wake up one day
Yeah,
and say, "Oh, this is going to work. I'm going to dive into this very complicated market and fight my way to the top"?
Yeah, surprisingly, no, it was not an overnight thing. So I ended up meeting my co-founder, Amarildo Jondrakai, in Cornell and during our MBA program. And we started to observe early then that many of our classmates who were international were struggling to get credit cards, even bank accounts, and just didn't have access to the same ones or the same quality products that we did. And we kind of followed this thread for years and did research and really validated it to figure out, is this viable? Is this something that is needed? Is anyone solving this? Why not? And then decided to go for it in 2023. So it was definitely the product of a lot of research and thinking and kind of network building too to prepare for that. Building a venture back company. I think that's a smart way to go about it is to do the groundwork first.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, especially in a space like that, it's just too complicated to kind of like dive in and swim. I gravitate to those easy business markets where you can like test something in a weekend and figure out if it makes sense, but you can't really test fintech in a weekend.
Not usually.
That's super cool. But how's it going? It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been going well. So, got a good, robust customer base, and we're excited. We've been able to expand into new markets and started with just really serving students last year, and now are serving other visa holders. Anyone here visiting for different exchange programs, people who are here to work,
That's awesome.
refugees. Yeah, and now getting into the business space as well. So it's been that's been the most fun part is figuring out, wow, this is working and this is valuable. Who else can we serve? Who else can we help?
That's awesome. So the planning was good. You measured once, cut one, or measured twice, right? Cut once.
Indeed, measured quite a few times. It felt like 200 plus customer interviews. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of time, a lot of designing, but it seems like it paid off, which is all we could ever hope for. Well, that's
Indeed.
awesome. That's awesome. So you're someone who found a good idea, molded it into a better one, and then built it successfully.
Keep shaping it. Yeah. I think, there's so many models for this. Sometimes it's also about the pivot. It's finding something and saying,
Yeah.
there's something here. I just don't know what the there is yet. And we're going to discover it. And sometimes it's, I think there's a there here, but it's going to be hard. And that's why people haven't really maybe done this yet. And so it's going to take a very specific combination of skills and resources. So
We did this. We did one of these last year with the founder of WP Engine, massive WordPress host. it was kind of a similar thing to you guys. Like a bunch of friends were frustrated with their hosting setup. So he created a small solution and just emailed some people and they really liked it. And poof, 1,000-person company.
Yeah.
But pretty wild. I think to your point, because it's such a complex market that you're playing in, it takes a lot more research to get to the place where you can start rolling out something and have high confidence it'll be successful. But you guys did it and it's working. That's amazing.
Now it's all about sustaining it. That's
Yeah.
part of the fun and the joy of being in startup land. It's not just you got to bring it to market, and then you got to keep it in market too.
Yeah. But I mean, you have that initial momentum, like getting through the first year, having customers at all, just a massive thing,
Yeah,
especially in your space. All
that
right.
is true.
So we're dealing with a superhero. So we're gonna look at a bad idea and probably imagine you'll do 3 years of work on this in about 15 minutes. But um, you know, one can wish, right? So let's see what we got for you from the team. So
I'm
again,
so excited for this.
you and I haven't seen this yet. Our team basically looks at your LinkedIn profile and pulls a bad idea related to what they think you do.
Okay.
We'll make fun of it for a couple minutes and then see what we get. So here's what we got for today. It's a really bad idea. Okay, this is bank loyalty points for bills. Instead of cashback reward points, you earn loyalty points that can only be redeemed for bank services. So your incentive is only redeemable at the bank. This seems like someone was trying to find a way to get people like more excited to figure out what else the bank does. But
Yeah.
how does that compete with cash back or points? Like that whole ecosystem is
Yeah,
massive.
it's like I guess a vacation wasn't fun enough. So what I
I
want to
know.
do is I want to pay overdraft fees with
Yeah.
this. That would be the best way that I could spend earned points.
Yeah, I want to use my points to send money to people internationally. That seems like a really good idea.
It seems like rooted. It's almost like flipped the idea. The credit card company built that was all about earning rewards off of
Yeah.
paying rent with a card, which was a great idea as long as you could cajole some kind of bank into agreeing to do that.
Yeah. But they pointed the incentives inward. I'm
Yeah,
wondering, isn't it a problem? Like a lot of these card companies carry massive points balances, and
yeah.
that's like a liability for them, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and then so what you do if you're one of those, I mean, airline companies, which are basically credit card companies at this point, have a lot of that in their books, and so if it ever gets to be a problem, they just devalue the points. They're like, great, now they're worth half as much. Now we've increased what it takes to redeem them, and so it's always such a risk with that, especially if people are earning them at any substantial rate.
Yeah, or banking on kind of using them. But I imagine
Yeah.
if they're only redeemable at your bank, then like you can kind of arbitrarily change the value of the points.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you just make it, the redemption rate different. But that is, I mean, on the plus side, if I was running this, I guess I would really enjoy the fact that it's hard to use, hard to figure out how to use these.
Yeah, right. So
You know,
so it wouldn't really be just be an asset, like it's a static asset, not a liability. But maybe there's an incentive to learn more about what the bank can do. Like maybe if you have a really interesting bank.
yeah, maybe someone's going to try to find a way to game this into getting a discounted mortgage, and that's going to explode. There will be some sort of bizarre scenario. Yeah, this feels like a regulatory nightmare.
You
This was
buy a discounted mortgage with your rewards points.
Yeah. The ideas that come out of the fintech space when you don't consult anyone from legal, regulatory compliance, no one from those teams. You're just like, don't be in this room. We're going to just talk amongst ourselves and then we're going to do something and
Mhm.
don't be here.
Yeah. That's kind of I'm latching on to your discounted mortgage idea. That's kind of like an alternative to a credit score because this is about paying your bills to the bank. If like you pay your bills on time, they could probably come up with like a proxy, like you're going to pay X percentage on time because of what you've done historically that's just as if not more accurate than the
Yeah,
credit score. And
it
maybe
is
points could be used for like a lower rate if there's less risk on you missing a payment.
it is more data. This is the one thing I feel like banks and all financial institutions love is let's keep all of the information in the ecosystem. And, what can we do to just very tightly control and contain all of that? And this does that.
When you guys partner with the bank, do they ask for like everybody's? Is that like a base requirement? If you're moving money in, they get everything from you, or do you still get to kind of protect customers a little?
We definitely get to control some of that data, but the KYC process, the know your customer process, we definitely find out, who make sure that we know that identity really well.
Yeah.
And depending on what they're doing, yes, there may be additional investigations or information that's required and provided. And of course, you can always, people will volunteer that sometimes too to get additional services, provide your income, and maybe your credit limit will increase. So there's always ways to get
But not rewards points. Like you're not going to
more.
incentivize data collection.
Man, not usually it's not tied to that, which is really interesting. Maybe a missed opportunity out there is like, use that as a chance to know what people want more of or less of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Getting
these closed ecosystems, like back in the day, Apple could get away with it because they owned the entire operating system. But today, like everything needs to be interoperable. Even points, like you can transfer your Chase points or Amex points to
Yeah,
Chase.
yeah.
So going the other way, like it's not going to work because you're breaking expectation without offering any incremental value. Like there's no positive trade there, right?
Right. Well, I think you're also dealing with a consumer here. If this sounds like a product that is going to be harder to understand or navigate, or the value is going to be higher for high net worth individuals, people who do a lot of banking and
I'm
bill
so
paying and
rich.
like, right, self-employed people, but they're already this type of consumer that can get access to all the cards that have premium rewards and I can navigate that really well. So this is probably not the best deal out there. Is this better than like some reserve card or really top tier product?
No,
It's certainly not as attractive or fun.
do you guys do anything with cryptocurrency or can you?
We do not. And right now it's difficult because we're kind of more in the pure banking space. So until it's regulated as currency, until it's part of those chains. Yeah, I know. Someday because I'm really excited about stable coins. I'm really excited about the potential for that stuff to help us move money more cheaply, help us keep more
Yeah.
currency. Like a lot of countries are going to have a lot more of an opportunity to stabilize money and move it freely.
Yeah. And hold it freely. I think that's
Yeah,
like the concept of custody I find really fascinating where like individuals are kind of like holding their own asset and they're able to move it from A to B, which I think scares a lot of banks, but it should be exciting,
yeah,
especially when most of your revenue is off of transfer fees. There's going to be
right,
more transfers, even if they're cheaper, the volume is going to be massively higher.
right.
And
And
then
you're going
with
to know where money came from too. I think it will help with transparency and ideally with that decentralized ledger. We should see now and we can tell if money laundering is occurring.
yep,
That should
real
be
time.
more obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, real time. It's just exposed. And then with platforms like you guys that are kind of connected in the middle, there should be more opportunities to like connect, personal wallets or and even digital wallets and transfer in and out of institutions. So you guys become even more valuable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And building that customer base of international citizens who are already like that becomes a very powerful book of business. It becomes a really valued
yeah.
book for a lot of banks and other financial institutions.
I think for me, the reason why crypto is coming to mind is because it's almost like exclusively self rewards points. Like if you look at it, there isn't really, and regulators are doing a good job of making sure it's not really easy to use your cryptocurrency. You
Yeah.
can basically trade it for dollars on like Coinbase, but that's it. So it's kind of like this where like you can earn cryptocurrency rewards for holding and buying cryptocurrency. But that's working. I mean, there's
Yeah.
like $4 trillion in this space, plus 2 trillion over the last year, which is big.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if maybe that's the point here. Like, how do we find a way to create internal incentives for people to understand what's available to them from their
Yeah.
like banking partners and institutions,
Yeah.
other
I
than just
think
a debit card?
true. I think like with rewards, the idea kind of if you're the one offering the rewards, you always want to incent the users to do things to accrue them, to use the products, and you find ways that earn points that are based on the ways that you earn the most money. So transact here, transact in this way, and then you want them to spend them on the categories and areas where you get the best return. So if there's a whole marketplace of goods and services, you can pick up those gift cards at a discount. There's certain ones that are always less expensive. So yes, go get that Red Lobster gift card. We really want you to get that one. That one's better than something that has like a 1-to-1 redemption rate. So it's those nudges towards the things that are less valued. So that is also kind of a trick and a challenge here. If you're a bank, we have rules against guiding customers towards products and services that may be suboptimal. I think we just saw that with accounts that look very similar and guiding people to the lower savings rates. Like that's not, you can't really do that. You can't be misleading. Yeah. So this would get into that really tricky category of like, is this marketing? Are you guiding people towards products and services that are less good on purpose? That I would be. I'm just thinking about how much fun it is to review marketing as a bank, and yeah.
Oh, super fun. Yeah, and get it
Yeah.
approved, make sure you're compliant. Now, for you guys, because you're helping people operate in a new financial system, do you find like a lot of your platform is about guiding them, like even beyond service, the technology is about like guiding them through the steps they need to take, making sure they're set up the right way, a lot of checklists, that sort of thing?
Yes, figuring out ways like that's intrinsic to the system architecture, figuring out how we build this so it's natural and easy and you understand the choices you're making or the categories you're selecting. So even thinking about as you go through the sign up process, what type of customer are you helping customers choose based on visa category or the ID they have, or really guiding them through all these terms that are very foreign. This very much comes up on the consumer side, but also on the business side, where you have foreign businesses who are looking at it and say, I don't know what an EIN is. I don't know what an ITIN is. These are, help me understand this. Walk me through how to do it, how to enter this. What's the format? What's a zip code? That's a foreign concept to a lot of students who are entering the US for the first time. So yes, there's some huge education barrier too. And there's always opportunity there, but it's a tough one because people aren't willing to pay for it or do the research. You just have to make it really easy and intuitive. It's a
Yeah.
design problem.
Yeah. But it's powerful value, right? It's really hard for someone to pay for something that they don't even understand.
Right.
Um, and you guys are solving that as a service, kind of as the front end of your business, which is huge value
Yeah.
because you're identifying and solving the problem in one go and kind of like a painless way,
Yes.
which is huge. I'm trying to think about how we get rewards points in there in a way that like,
How do we do this in a
because
way that's
you compare the two, right? Like rewards points for a bank's own intrinsic services is just a non-starter. You're competing
yeah.
with something that could have portable value elsewhere that's more valuable. But like compare that head to head with what you guys do, which is like educational. You're solving a problem just through process. And I assume like people aren't paying up front. They're like getting set up through you and just getting this, right? As part of the journey.
Yeah, we're fee free. So the way that we make our money is very similar to banks. So it's off of deposits and off of card swipes. So it's the
Yeah.
interchange and sweeps. So that's that's a good model. It works at volume. It works at scale. And what we decided, I think, that's sort of related to those rewards points. Instead of doing something complicated and convoluted with points, let's make it a pure cashback. And then that's money in your account. That is what you need. That is simple. That translates. You can do whatever you want with that money. You can nudge people towards investing it. You
Wait,
can
you guys
nudge
do
people towards
cashback
saving.
too?
We do. Yeah, the credit product is it's cashback. Yeah.
Look at that. So you have rewards and you're solving a problem, but like
Do good.
torpedoes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do good
like
and make money. Crazy.
do super good. But this like so this thing is dead in the water. Like next to you guys, this is just like we will trap you with your rewards. And it's like when a company gives out equity that doesn't vest for 4 years. It's like
Here's a gift.
gotcha. Yeah,
Don't
right.
wrap it.
It doesn't
Yeah.
ever leave,
I mean, I think there's an idea here. I feel like that there's definitely a bank that would say, I'll do this. There's like a financial institution that says, great idea. We'll make this so convoluted, no one will know how to use it. But it's the least sexy thing. No one's signing up for this. Like, you want vacations. You do not want, like, oh, I'd like to eventually maybe save on bills, kind of, I think.
Yeah, right. If I ever have to use this bank, it'll be
Yeah.
good to have a big pile of points. But I don't know. How do you feel about the credit scoring system? Do you think there's opportunity to innovate there?
Oh yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to see that disrupted massively. I mean, I think what it misses is it really does. There's whole categories of information that it doesn't consider, and we have this data. We can look at this in interesting ways. You don't look at income. You don't look at the growth of income or changes in income over time or stability of that income. That's to me is a major factor in are you qualified to have debt and how much can and should you carry and at what rate. So what you look at when you take out a loan, why is that not the same in the credit space? And I think the lack of transparency around exactly how it's calculated, the fact that there's the
You're
mystery of the
good. You're
three
good.
bureaus, yeah, the number. It's of course classic American like numbering. We can't use the metric system and be normal. We can't use any kind of logical numbering. It's like, oh yeah, so the 850 is the top and starts at like in the 300s. Like why?
Yeah. It's like those SNL skits. 12
Yeah,
will be a dozen. We don't know why. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm wondering though if that like maybe a scoring system, like you pay enough bills on time, you get points and like maybe it's not a rewards point, maybe it's just a score and like over
mm-hmm.
time the number gets so high that people are like you've
You're
paid
good.
99% yeah on time. And
Yeah.
I mean that the other thing is people don't realize how much cash flow they're responsible for on their own. So someone's like, oh, I only make 100K a year or 80K or whatever, but over like a decade you've spent $1
Yeah.
million on things, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a lot of
Or the
money and that came from
yeah.
you. And if you make those payments on time, maybe that's worth some kind of bonus or something other
Yeah,
than
there's
discounted banking services, something like slightly more exciting.
that's true. Banks are very much like they look at the volume. It's like, oh, if you have a lot of money, we will do things for you now. Where if we're cheaper for free, or sometimes even adding and charging fees at that point. Oh, you're worth more now. You can actually pay these premium fees.
Forgive me, allergy
Oh,
attack,
good.
1 second.
It tis the season. It's like we get out of winter and then we enter directly into tree explosion.
I have no excuse because I'm gonna just like randomly the flowers are like babies, and I start coughing on a podcast. That's just how it goes. But back to our bad idea. Do you guys tie into financial products other than like standard banking? So you mentioned
Ooh,
business services, but like do you
yeah.
help people borrow money other than cards?
It's mostly through like a marketplace or referral
Yeah,
partnerships. So we don't handle any of that ourselves. So we don't do
yeah,
any loans, but we do have partners who do, whether they're doing education loans or car loans, other services like that. Thinking about, maybe we offer that in the future, but that's its own complex and expensive line of service and
yeah.
with its high risk. So not with rates where they're at right now. It doesn't make sense for our customer. I think there's others who are doing that a lot better.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you guys start off by helping folks navigate such a complicated ecosystem. You earn a lot of trust to help them, move a little deeper into the space, especially for opening up for businesses, because there's so much that's needed there. But that's really cool. I think what's wild, looking at this idea, like this is an incentive to encourage adoption of banking products, and we're talking to the founder of a company that like already built a baked in incentive that's significantly more valuable and is working and is real, so we can kind of see like
Nitpick
how the
this.
market, yeah, well, nitpick it but also see how the market responds to something real. Like it seems like you're proving that people value guidance like in a big way, particularly those with your problem set.
Yeah, and I think there might be some room. I think one creative idea we've thought about and haven't fully enacted yet, but I think could be a play here is as you learn more, as you engage more with the app, the product, the different elements and features within it, you start to get more privileges or access or ability to do things. So maybe it's you unlock a higher credit limit eventually if there's an unsecured card by modules to understand how credit works and proving that you're able to make these
That's
payments on
awesome.
time and you have X amount of money or you earn the ability to make certain types of transactions that have different types of holds like a rental car for instance when you have more money deposited. So maybe there's things that are kind of associated, maybe those behaviors you can use data to figure out what things can you earn through appropriate usage, and then are there privileges that get taken away if you abuse them.
That's super cool. That's super cool. It's like a bridge. Always blows my mind when we get to talk to somebody who's like doing something real that's in something that everyone kind of touches. What you're doing is right there.
Yeah.
So
I
that
love the crazy ideas though. I love to throw those out. And like I think because every now and then it's like, oh yeah, that works actually. That is something that we haven't thought of. But the banking space is like I think it's cool because there's the best way for me to like instigate creativity. I'm trained as an artist actually, and I always found that constraints were the way to get people thinking creatively. You have to give people an assignment or a commission or something. Give them a little bit of a roadmap, and immediately a creative and artistic mind is going to think, how do I break this? How do I push up against this constraint? How do I sort of meet the spirit of it, but not like immediately you just like, that's where you go. And I think that's a fun thing about this space. Like, okay, well, if this is the rule or the limit, how do we dance really close to it? Or how do we subvert this? Or what isn't regulated yet? Like those are all the questions that kind of come up. And then you figure out how to make it possible and legal and structure it.
That's super, super wild. I think the concept for bad ideas came from this book. It's called Homeless to Billionaire. I think it's a guy from
Yeah.
Switzerland. Have you read it?
I have not read it yet. It's on my to read list, which grows every day, but I have it on my shelf.
Really? All right. It's like fascinating. Guy from Switzerland goes to Thailand and kind of totally turns his life around. And one of the processes he talks about, I think it's him, is solving problems by presenting bad ideas only. So you're like, here's the problem, like present the worst possible ideas, and always gets them into a different train of thinking,
Hmm.
which is super effective. I think we kind of cheated on this one though, because we have you here and you've like, oh, I've already solved that. So that makes sense.
It's
But
almost
is it?
more fun if it's like completely unrelated too.
Yeah,
Like, let's
yeah.
come up with a really bad idea
Well,
involving like food products. Like,
I
yeah.
feel like we're behind the scenes. I feel like we get to talk to someone who's like behind the big curtain. So that's my favorite. You guys, so it's only people with visas or international that are students currently?
No, it can be anyone who is a visa holder of any type, unless it's a just purely tourist visa. You're here for 2 days to visit New York.
Yeah.
So as long as you're here to work or study or as a refugee or for any reason for any length of time, you can get an account. And of course, if you have a social security number and ITIN, you're permanent resident. That's also, of course, we serve that population too. It's just maybe less, you don't have the access problem. So it's maybe less attractive or built for you. It's built for someone who's moving money in, who has specific needs around trying to get access to services that would normally be much more difficult because the social security number is that gateway.
Good. And do you have like referral information? I think there's going to be a lot of business owners that see it here, and I'm sure they're working with people who are like on visa or coming in on visa, and
Yeah,
that'd
we're
be a
always
great
happy to
data
chat.
space.
Yeah,
Good.
so we're at joinadro.com. I'm at Sara at joinadro.com. I'm happy to take any inquiries, answer questions, or chat if you're a business working in the space and would love to learn more and link up.
But good ideas only, right? Nothing crazy.
I love the bad ones too. I'll talk about it because you never know. We've worked with some partners. It started off and we're like, we're skeptical. Is this going anywhere? And it's turned into an incredible partnership. So you never know. I'm much more open. I think there's something about that founder journey that just makes you open to ideas, and especially the crazy ones. I'm like, yeah, let's talk because you don't know. You
You
don't know where
never
someone's
know.
going to pivot to.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for hopping on and lending your brain to this idea. I think final verdict, bad idea.
We're not going to pursue this one in
All
this
right,
manner.
this one's
Yeah.
dead. All right, I'll take it out back and put it down after this. But thank you so much for coming by. Super grateful to have you here.
Yeah. Thanks.